Most people imagine gaslighting as something that only works on naive people. People who are insecure, people who are emotionally weak, people who should have known better. But reality is far more uncomfortable than that. Some of the easiest people to gaslight are actually the most intelligent ones in the room. Not because they're stupid, because they're thoughtful, because they reflect deeply, because they try to understand people instead of immediately judging them, because they don't want to become unfair, selfish, or emotionally reactive. And ironically, those exact qualities can become the perfect entry point for manipulation. Gaslighting doesn't work by overpowering your intelligence. It works by weaponizing your empathy against you. And that's why so many smart people stay trapped in situations they can logically explain, but emotionally can't escape. A highly self-aware person usually has one dangerous habit. They constantly review themselves. After every argument, they replay the conversation in their head. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe they didn't mean it like that. From the outside, this looks emotionally mature. And sometimes it is. But manipulation thrives in that space between reflection and self-doubt. Because when someone hurts you, and your first instinct is to analyze yourself instead of protecting yourself, you become easier to control. A manipulative person quickly learns something important about you. You are willing to question your own reality before questioning theirs. And once they discover that, the game changes. Healthy people use empathy to understand others. Manipulative people use empathy as leverage. They notice that you care about fairness, so they make you feel guilty for defending yourself. They notice that you hate hurting people, so they frame your boundaries as cruelty. They notice that you value emotional intelligence, so they accuse you of being too emotional whenever you react to mistreatment. And because you genuinely care about becoming a better person, you take those accusations seriously. That's the trap. The more emotionally responsible you are, the more vulnerable you become to people who have no emotional responsibility at all. Because while you're busy examining your tone, they're busy rewriting reality. One of the darkest things about gaslighting is that it rarely starts with obvious lies. It starts with small distortions, tiny moments where your feelings are quietly dismissed. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. You always take things personally. Individually, these moments seem small, but repeated over time, they slowly separate you from your own instincts. You stop trusting your memory, then your emotions, then your perception. Eventually, you begin relying on the other person to define what's real. And the terrifying part is, you often don't notice it happening while it's happening. Because gaslighting rarely feels like control in the beginning. It feels like confusion. Intelligent people are especially vulnerable because intelligence often creates the illusion of immunity. They think, I would never fall for manipulation. But manipulation is not an IQ test. Some of the smartest people on earth stay in toxic relationships for years. Doctors, therapists, professors, psychologists, executives. Knowledge alone does not protect you from emotional conditioning, especially when attachment is involved. Because the human brain behaves very differently when emotion enters the equation. Once emotional attachment forms, logic becomes compromised, not destroyed. compromised. You start protecting the relationship instead of protecting your reality. And intelligent people are often exceptionally good at rationalizing harmful behavior. They can explain everything. Maybe they had a traumatic childhood. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they're emotionally unavailable because they're afraid. Maybe I need to communicate better. The problem is not compassion itself. The problem is when compassion replaces self-respect. Another reason intelligent people get gaslighted is because they often fear becoming arrogant. So they constantly stay open to being wrong. At first glance, that sounds healthy, and it usually is. But manipulators exploit uncertainty. If you are always willing to reconsider yourself while the other person never questions themselves at all, you eventually carry all the psychological weight in the relationship. You become the one apologizing, the one overthinking, the one researching communication styles at 2 a.m. Meanwhile, the other person simply denies, deflects, minimizes, and waits for your empathy to exhaust you. And eventually it does. Because self-doubt is mentally expensive, especially when you're trapped in an environment where your reality is constantly being challenged. One of the most painful moments in recovery is realizing you were not weak, you were sincere. You were trying to solve the problem honestly, while the other person was trying to control the narrative. Those are completely different goals. And that realization changes everything. Because many survivors blame themselves for allowing the manipulation. But manipulation works precisely because it imitates love, concern, misunderstanding, vulnerability, and emotional complexity. If abuse looked abusive from day one, almost nobody would stay. Gaslighting works because it hides itself inside emotional intimacy. Sometimes the manipulation is so subtle that even your friends can't fully see it. From the outside, the relationship may look normal, maybe even loving. But internally, you feel chronically confused, exhausted after every conversation, hyper-aware of the other person's mood, afraid of bringing up problems because somehow the conversation always turns against you. You enter discussions trying to express pain and leave feeling guilty for having emotions at all. That is not healthy conflict. Healthy conflict may hurt, but it still moves toward clarity. Gaslighting moves toward disorientation. That distinction matters a lot. One of the most dangerous beliefs emotionally intelligent people carry is this: if I just explain myself better, they'll finally understand. But manipulation is rarely caused by misunderstanding. Many manipulators understand you perfectly. They simply benefit from you doubting yourself. That's why endless explanations often change nothing. You think you're solving a communication issue, but the real issue is power. And once you recognize that, many interactions suddenly make sense. Because healthy people seek resolution, manipulative people often seek advantage. There's another uncomfortable truth most people avoid talking about. Some emotionally intelligent people unconsciously tie their identity to being the understanding one, the patient one, the forgiving one, the emotionally mature one. And because of that identity, they tolerate behavior that slowly destroys them. They believe leave-in would make them cold, having boundaries would make them selfish, being angry would make them immature. So they continue absorbing emotional damage while calling it compassion. But real emotional maturity is not endless tolerance. Real maturity includes discernment. It includes recognizing when empathy is being exploited. It includes understanding that protecting your mental stability is not cruelty, it's responsibility. A manipulator's greatest weapon is not persuasion, it's exhaustion. If someone can keep you emotionally confused long enough, eventually your brain stops resisting. You start choosing peace over truth, silence over confrontation, self-betrayal over conflict. Not because you're weak, because chronic emotional confusion drains the nervous system. And once exhaustion takes over, survival becomes more important than clarity. That's why many intelligent people don't leave when the first red flag appears. They leave when their body can no longer carry the psychological weight. The hardest lesson many people learn is this: not every problem can be solved through deeper understanding. Some people do not want mutual understanding. They want emotional control. And if you keep bringing empathy into situations where the other person brings strategy, you will keep losing pieces of yourself trying to save the connection. At some point, intelligence is not measured by how deeply you can understand someone else. It's measured by how quickly you recognize when understanding them is costing your peace. Maybe the most tragic part of gaslighting is that it often targets people with genuinely good hearts. People who try to communicate carefully. People who reflect on their mistakes. People who genuinely want healthy relationships. But self-awareness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. And emotional intelligence without self-protection becomes vulnerability. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Not every accusation deserves self-analysis. Not every conflict means you are the problem. And not every emotionally intense relationship is emotionally deep. Sometimes it's just emotionally destabilizing. So if you've ever wondered why intelligent people still get gaslighted, it's because gaslighting is not designed to defeat intelligence. It's designed to exploit humanity, especially the kind that constantly questions itself, especially the kind that wants to see good in others, especially the kind that would rather blame itself than believe someone they love could intentionally distort reality. And that's why some of the strongest people end up trapped the longest. Because they keep trying to heal a dynamic that was never built on honesty in the first place. The moment healing begins is not when you become less empathetic. It's when you stop using empathy to justify your own suffering. Because emotional maturity should help you recognize harm, not teach you to tolerate it forever. And maybe the people most vulnerable to gaslighting were never too weak. Maybe they were simply too willing to understand everyone, except themselves.